past, fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact, don't ask, grab reactions, jacked, attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember you're discreet now, get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here. And now. Surprise. John Wick Deku is making a surprise episode tonight. Now, in reality, the reason why I am posting this episode right now is because I lost all of my information on John Wick. And I pieced it all back together and put it down on the paper. In fact, I actually did find a bit of new information. And since I have all this info currently fresh in my mind, along with looking through my own series, I believe that I should release another part. Now, let us begin. Izuku Midoriya at the age of 10 years old. His mother dropped him off at a secret underground facility. After going through the test, Midoriya found that he was actually, apparently, the smartest one in the room, and the most tactically thinking. Now, what I mean by that is, whenever they were all trapped in a room, Midoriya and a few other kids, they all couldn't come up with ideas. They were all coming up with ideas to either try breaking a panel on the roof, or simply just blocking off the source of the water. All ideas that they did come up with did not work. However, Midoriya, he decided to try and smash through the window that was in the room. And it did actually work. Now, Midoriya got the help of somebody else within this training center. And he currently learned that his mother and a few of the other caretakers, are going to actually be training them now. With all of that being said, we will pick up roughly a week later, with everybody sitting down and actually having lunch. Now, Midoriya does sit down at a table, as he does actually have a piece of meatloaf, mashed potatoes, some broccoli, and some green beans. Along with that, they were given actual silverware. Now, with all of this, the table Midoriya sits down at, he actually does hear quite a lot of people talking about their own missions and assignments. This one really snarky guy blabbing on about his last mission. His last mission was quite easy. All he had to do was blow up a tanker from around 500 yards away with a .22 long rifle. In fact, he did have to get a modified scope for it, but the task was relatively easy. Killing his target and making it look like an accident was amazing. There's no messy cleanup, and there's no forms you do have to jump through. Plus, the bounty on him was actually around $50,000. Now, Midoriya, hearing that, actually does somewhat choke on his cup of water, somewhat laughing at that. The guy looking at Midoriya and asking him exactly what is so funny. Sorry. That's just kind of funny to me. Why? Well, it's just $50,000 to make it look like an accident? Ugh. Did you have any trouble getting paid, or was it actually just an accident? Oh, really? And what is your greatest achievement, Carter? Oh, funny you should mention that. My greatest achievement is helping the Brodva over in Russia maintain and secure their power within their region. taking out a rival gang or mafia family that was trying to rise to power and kill the man's son. After I tortured and fought 3 different men and killed them with a small weapon. This kid, his face, going a bit blank, asking Midori exactly when did that happen. Midori is just stating last year, and he still does have the marker to prove it. The kid actually going wide-eyed. A marker? The two across from him actually jumping out of their seats, asking Midori if he really has one. Oh yeah, no, I do, but I keep it hidden somewhere. So the Russian mob owes me a favor. How about you? What's your most impressive mission? Well, You see, I'd have to think about that. Oh, really? Why? Can't you just list it off the top of your head? In fact, how about this? Let's make the question a bit easier. What's the, most unintimidating weapon you have ever used to kill a man? I already know mine. Well, I'd say, a screwdriver? Really? Mine was a wooden pencil. Now, everyone around the 3 to 4 tables around Midoriya all immediately just turn and either spit out their food or choke on their drink, as the area around them all gets eerily silent. Now, somebody tries to call Midoriya out on that. No way could he do that. There's no way he killed 3 men with a pencil. Before Isla, Midoriya's mother, she does actually state, in fact, he did. All of them turning to her. Now, a few people do actually feel a chill run their spine. After they look at her, then look back at Midoriya. As the candidates who did that double take have already gone through some crash courses with her, meaning that she has tried to teach them different things. Now, the kid asks if she does have any proof, to which she does actually state, yes, she did. She actually did record the entire interrogation, and she was going to use it as a tool to instruct all of you on how to properly fight somebody. In fact, Midoriya is the key component in why that mission was so successful. Her then listing off how much that bounty was worth, or how much that job was worth. Now, all the kids go back to sitting down, and Midoriya doesn't hear that guy boasting his bravado anymore. Now, we also do have the next day, whenever all of them are actually going back into training. Midoriya does actually take his shirt off and go to put it in the locker, as he does go to grab his pants and slip them on. Now, Midoriya does make sure that his tactical knife is actually properly holstered onto his leg, and he then does roll his pant leg back down, before actually making sure this other sock or his other knife is also on there properly. Now, with that being said, Midoriya then does actually go back to standing up, and go to grab his shirt. Now, somebody does actually mention the strange tattoo Midoriya has on his arm. Now, Midoriya does explain that it's the same tattoo he got at his facility. You know, when you get when you first kill somebody? Is that really it? Yeah, your tattoo looks a bit weirder than mine. Yeah, why is it so stretched out? Oh. Well. Now, Midoriya does explain the story behind his tattoo. Everyone in the locker room hearing about it is quite shocked, would be the right word to use. Understanding that Midoriya was apparently given no repercussion for his action. And in fact, the instructors called him a very, very good candidate. especially with the fact that those were his teammates, who turned their backs on Midoriya in exchange for trying to make a joke. Now, they wanted Midoriya to fail. They understand that. And Midoriya simply just acted tactically and truthfully to what you could have done in a situation where your allies turn their back on you. Now, this was quite strange. As Midoriya does finish changing, slipping on his shirt, he does actually go to walk out of the room. And he does head to the bay that they do need to go to. After they do head there, they are quite simply knocked out with gas. All of them waking up in the back of a van. And Midoriya, he is one of the first candidates to come to. Let's say he's around the third out of a group of 12 people. Now, he is told that they all do have their own mission. They are to steal a select number of vehicles. Whoever does steal the best vehicle or the highest ranking vehicle they have on the list, they are going to be able to keep the car. And in fact, all of them are going to be shuffling around these documents. Him tossing the documents down into the back of the van. Midoriya, he actually does lunge forwards, going to grab at it. Now, him and a few candidates do actually butt heads. One candidate trying to shove Midoriya's hand out of the way. As Midoriya, whenever they do grab the file he was aiming for, he actually does bring his elbow up and sock them directly in the nose, grabbing the file and adding it to the 4 he does currently have in his arm. Now, the people in the back seat did see that. The guy who tossed the files back there, sort of laughing. Another kid trying to punch Midoriya across the face for one of the files he just picked up. And Midoriya, whenever he does get socked across the face, just turns back and looks pissed off, headbutting the kid by slamming his forehead directly in his nose, as the kid goes rocking backwards and his back of his head hits the metal wall of the van. Him bringing his hands up and beginning to hold his head. Now, with that, Midoriya does actually open one of these files. That's a crappy car. I don't like that one. Him saying that one underneath himself. Opening up the other one. Is that really a car? I see. Midoriya closing that one and tossing it back into the pile. Someone going to lunge for it. Now, Midoriya goes through 2 more files before actually going to make his decision. They put in top-notch cars in this pile. They put in absolute supercars, muscle cars, anything you can think of. And then, there's some other cars they put in there. Cars that possibly don't even run. And absolute junk cars. As somebody actually does go fighting for that paper, along with another kid. Now, as soon as the person does actually grab it, they actually do toss their file back on the ground, and clutch onto this one as if it means everything to them. Midoriya confused about that file, before he actually does look through the other cars. Let's see, no. Midoriya just thinking. One of these cars is a stick shift. Let's see. I believe Miss Carter... I think she taught me how to drive stick. At least I've seen her do it a lot. So this one's a bit more of a challenge. I'm up for it. Midoriya taking the other 2 files and tossing them back into the pile, watching as more people begin to fight over those. Now, as soon as 2 people are left with 2 files, they are both fighting over one single file, as they actually do move over and slam onto the ground, beginning to just try and beat into each other and fight for this one. Midoriya, watching as he actually does, look over and see a picture of the vehicle. It is absolute shit. It's literally just a car frame in a junkyard. And you're supposed to get that back to the compound, or to at least a drop-off location. Now, Midoriya is thinking that he's so glad he did not get that one. Now, Midoriya actually does know where this car is located. And after they are all dropped off, Midoriya does actually begin to walk down the street. It is relatively later on into the day. And actually, no, it's later on into the night, let's say, because that would make more sense if they were knocked out for a longer period of time. Midoriya is actually looking around. Not many people are out right now. And you do have Midoriya who is wearing some nice dress shoes, some pants, and what looks to be a tactical turtleneck. And along with that, he actually does have his sleeves rolled up to his elbows, exposing his forearms. Now, Midoriya does actually he just keeps looking around for this vehicle. The target is said to be within this area. And eventually Midoriya does actually come across the vehicle parked in the back alley. Now, as soon as he actually does look over and see the car, he does do one thing. He reaches down into his pocket and grabs a mask, bringing it on and slipping it over his head. Now, Midoriya then just begins to walk over and see what he can do. Now, he pulls out the small kit that he has. He noticed that whenever he did get out of the van, he actually did have something in his pockets. It is a small little kit or a metal case with lockpicking tools within it. However, the tools are very delicate. So, if you break them, you're going to have to go through the car the hard way. Now, Midoriya just begins to try and pick the lock and get into the vehicle. He does successfully turn enough to actually open the car door. As soon as he does grab the handle and go to sit down, his weight shifting the vehicle does actually make the alarm go off. Midoriya looking around quickly, before just reaching underneath the dash and ripping out this piece of metal, or most likely plastic. Now, after Midoriya does rip this piece off, he pulls up his pants leg, grabbing his knife and beginning to cut the wires. Now, I'm not going to specify how to, but Midoriya hotwires the car. And after turning it on and hearing it turn over, Midoriya, he does slam the door closed, rolling down the window a little bit. Now, after he does that, he does turn the knob on for the lights, watching as the dashboard lights up. Now, after doing that, he steps onto the very left pedal. After stepping onto that, he puts the car from reverse to first gear, as he does actually step down to the gas a little bit, hearing the engine roar to life. Now, as he does do that, the owner of the vehicle actually does hear the car, and he's currently coming to run out for it. Midoriya seeing the guy actually run into the alleyway, him quickly turning and slamming the lock down on the car, and going to roll out the window, before doing the same for the passenger seat. Midoriya then stepping on the gas as the tires just begin to spin. Midoriya letting go of the clutch as the car jerks forwards. Midoriya spinning the wheel and cutting it as much as he can. As Midoriya, from where he was currently in, immediately just scurries off to the right and directly out of the alleyway. The guy watching his prized car take off into the night, as Midoriya quickly just slams down onto the clutch and throws the car in a second gear, hearing the engine rev louder. Now, Midoriya just begins to haul ass down the street, and he actually does pull out the GPS. Now, he does look down at it telling him the location to leave the car at, or to take the car to. as he actually does then slam down into third gear and go faster. Midoriya barreling 80 miles down a street. As he runs a red light and two cars behind him do have to slam on their brakes. Now, as that does happen, Midoriya, he actually does look around. Using his left hand, he actually does try and find a seatbelt. As soon as he does so, he throws it over his waist as he does actually grab the wheel with his left hand, using his right hand to buckle up. Now, with that, Midoriya, he just keeps driving. Eventually, police, they do take action, trying to follow Midoriya. However, there are 10 other reported cases of this happening tonight. Car theft and what seems to be hooligan kids driving cars. Since the description of every single stolen vehicle, the perpetrator or the thief did seem to be abnormally small. And police do assume this might be a duplication quirk. Now, with all that being said, as Midoriya, he actually does throw the car onto the highway. He does feel the tires screech as he does turn, and have to speed past and squeeze by another car. Now, after that does happen, Midoriya, he just keeps going, along with actually looking into the back seats, and seeing what looks like a blue container. Him kinda confused, looking at the tube that does actually run behind him. And he does actually turn back, trying to inspect the dash a bit more, reaching his hand underneath and feeling around. Now, Midoriya, he has a good idea of what that could be. However, he really doesn't want to have to use that. If he's about to be caught, then he can use it. Because if it doesn't do what he thinks it could do, it could get him into a very bad accident. Or it could probably just be the hazard lights. Now, with all that being said, Midoriya is hauling ass down the highway. And he does actually see a familiar car from a paper, as he does actually see cops chasing another vehicle. Midoriya, he actually does swerve to the left, as this vehicle does actually swerve directly by him. Midoriya, turning his head to the right, as he actually does see another one of those candidates in the vehicle. Them just looking at Midoriya's car and just someone beginning to laugh, as they try and speed up. Now, Midoriya, in response, throws the thing down into fourth gear, and begins to just haul ass more. Both of them actually turning around and looking behind them. There is a lot of cops, along with actually pro heroes trying to catch up. And Midoriya, he's actually quite surprised whenever he does see one pro hero actually gaining speed, as the man is on foot. Midoriya just being a bit more surprised, as he does actually point backwards, the guy behind him looking behind him, or the guy to his right looking behind him. Now, he does actually look a bit more confused, as he does actually try and speed up more. Now, Midoriya and him are going almost 125 miles an hour, but this guy just keeps coming. Now, Midoriya actually does reach underneath the dash, as the pro hero gets close enough to actually grab onto Midoriya's car. As soon as he does grab onto it, his feet go flying out from underneath him and he just goes almost airborne. As Midoriya actually does do one thing. He slams on his brakes, his car jerking forwards as the tires begin to screech, the pro hero being sent flying onto the roof of the car before flying forwards in front of Midoriya. Now, Midoriya grabs the shifter and throws it back into first before trying to go again. As soon as he does, he actually does cut the wheel to the left as he evades the pro hero and he looks underneath the dashboard. The pro hero quickly trying to shake it off and go back after Midoriya. Now, Midoriya does actually watch the pro hero catch up a bit more, him reaching into the dashboard and pulling that little knob. The car immediately just making Midoriya jump backwards in his seat. As Midoriya actually just grabbed the shifter and threw it down into fourth immediately, punching down onto the gas as he gets sent flying. Now, the guy that Midoriya was racing actually does see Midoriya's car, as Midoriya zooms past him, leaving him in the absolute dust. Now, eventually, after enough time of driving around, the cars, they are hidden, and the police do begin to look around and search more. Now, Midoriya got his car to his own drop-off location, underneath a bridge, and, well, there was a semi-truck. As soon as he did actually see the semi-truck, he did pull the car into it, and climb out of the window. Now, after that did happen, somebody did walk up and see Midoriya, asking for his radio back or his GPS device. Handing it over to Midoriya as the man just brings something up, telling the kid that he's gonna want to sit down for this. Now, Midoriya does actually walk over to the wall and sit down, the man spraying Midoriya in the face. Now, after that does happen, Midoriya, he actually does pass out. 2 minutes later, the van full of candidates, they do actually show up. They waited for Midoriya to get sprayed, before showing that they were actually already there. Now, after that does happen, Midoriya does wake up back in the facility, as he is in a chair. Now, he's being told that him and many candidates did all get their vehicles. However, Mr. Her saying the kid's name who got the car in a junkyard, he failed their class, and he will have to retake it. As they do also give a round of applause to 3 people. Midoriya, another kid, and another kid, for getting 3 very, very high profile vehicles. Now, the third kid, he was praised for the fact that he actually was a bit more under the radar than everyone else, or at least the lowest under the radar. Well, you do have kid number 1, the kid in front of Midoriya. He got arguably the best car, and Midoriya, he got what could be described as second best. However, kid number 1, he is told that he had numerous setbacks and did stupid things. First off, he broke the car window after failing to pick the lock. Then he alerted the owner, which the kid then promptly stabbed him to death, before stealing the vehicle. Meaning that not only was that a Grand Theft Auto, it was also a homicide. And the kid is told that he will also need to retake their course. Now, Midoriya is actually given somewhat of good praise, as he is told that he didn't kill anybody, and he also returned the car back mostly intact. The only damage that was there was a few scratches and what the pro hero caused. That's actually tripping a few people out. The kid Midoriya was racing, asking exactly what the hell happened. And how did he go past him? Now, the person in charge of this class does actually inform this young man that the car Midoriya stole had an illegal nitrous kit inside of it. Or, well, modification. Technically the kits are legal, but installing them within a vehicle is illegal. So if they caught Midoriya, the man still would have faced either a fine or hefty jail time for having that in his vehicle. Now, with that she does go on explaining how many people do like their vehicles and how many do not? Because they're going to be given one single choice, and to think very wisely about this. Her going on to state that their vehicles are going to be their own, and if they do not wish to keep the vehicle, they will turn around and sell it, or scrap it for what money you can get out of it, and try again in a few months. Now, Midoriya does actually opt to keep this vehicle, actually just throwing himself out of his chair as it does actually slightly wobble forwards, going and ask if he can put money down to pay for the car. He does want to put some things inside of it and fix it up. Well, you were going to have to do that eventually, but since it is going to a shop, anyone else? A few kids raising their hand. Now, the kids that keep their hands down are going to opt to sell their vehicles. Now, with all of that being said, I do believe that that is a good point to leave this off of. And I do hope you guys enjoyed that, because I loved recording this part. Anyways, have a good night.